What happened at Stardust Ranch? Just outside of Phoenix, Arizona, lies a ranch notorious for some of the most bizarre and unbelievable extraterrestrial activity ever reported, and there's every bit of proof to suggest that what's happening there isn't just real, but is actively being covered up. This is Stardust Ranch. Researching the Stardust Ranch hasn't proven to be easy. For starters, there's no Wikipedia page anywhere that I could find on either the ranch or John Edmonds, the owner. I'm sure this wasn't always the case, as I've researched it in the past, long before I made videos on YouTube, back when I used to do this for fun. Also, rather strangely, I struggled to locate it on Google Maps, initially anyway. After a bit of playing around I managed to find it, but still, a bit strange. I also found it odd how obscure John Edmonds seems to be on Google, with the search engine doing its absolute best to hide any images of him. If my initial planning showed me anything, it was that maybe, just maybe, someone or something was trying to suppress information about Stardust Ranch. It could be that it now just goes by a different name. I know John Edmonds and his wife are trying to sell, but I don't know if they were ever successful, as contemporary information on the ranch is scarce. What I do know is that the real estate site that initially listed the property says it's no longer available, but that could just mean that they've now got a different real estate company. In 1996, John Edmonds and his wife Joyce finally achieved their dream of purchasing a ranch which they planned to be a sanctuary for rescue horses and dogs. John was a retired psychiatric therapist and his wife worked for the FBI. The couple had this dream for a while and could not wait to move in. Unfortunately for the couple, this would be closer to a nightmare than a dream, however, and the strange activity was not about to wait for them to settle in, beginning instantly on day one. When John walked into his home for the first time, he was alarmed to find the house was full of the previous owner's furniture, almost as if they had not moved out yet. John, furious and worried he had maybe got the move-in date wrong, contacted his estate agent, who informed and relieved John that the dates were indeed correct, and that the previous owners would soon arrive to take away their belongings. Knowing this would take a long time, John decided to venture out for the day. After returning sometime later, John was happy to discover that the house was empty. However, that happiness soon turned to anger once again upon discovering the previous owner's belongings had not been moved out, but instead had been trashed and thrown into the empty swimming pool. A furious John contacted his estate agent once again to inform them of what happened. The confused estate agent informed John that the previous owners had indeed arrived, but found their belongings already in the pool and believed John was responsible. So they left the ranch, just as angry as John. Another ordeal which occurred within the first few days involved a rather strange and mysterious individual who was not seen before and has never been seen since. Just outside the ranch gates, John spotted a figure just standing there, wielding a machete. A concerned John decided to go out and approach the man, but he kept his cool and carried his gun in case the worst happened. John asked the man who he was. The man replied by saying that he worked on the ranch and killed the monsters. John explained that he was the new owner and asked what he meant by the monsters. The man replied by telling him he would find out soon enough. John, intimidated by the man's bad vibes and general demeanour, asked him to leave. The man complied, but informed John that it was a mistake he would soon regret. He has never been seen since. After these first few incidents, the occurrences on the ranch became fairly black and white as far as interactions with aliens go. It started with strange lights in the night sky, which they didn't pay much attention to at first, until they began waking up with bizarre wounds, punctures and scars, which they have no recollection of obtaining. They also suffered from intense nightmares, involving being abducted by aliens. On some mornings, the couple woke up to find that some of their rescue animals had been brutally mutilated and killed. Although the couple did not want to admit it, their gut feeling was that all these events were related. John soon began to have difficulty sleeping and often woke up in the middle of the night, and on several occasions he woke to find grey aliens inside his home. These aliens were noted to have a particular interest in his wife Joyce, and on one occasion John found her levitating in her bed before being carried out of the property by some mystical force. John, determined to protect his wife, ran outside with a gun, only to find that his wife was being lifted into a spacecraft. Without hesitation, he fired at it, unsure his bullets would even have any effect, but apparently they did, as the craft soon released his wife before disappearing. On another shocking occasion during the middle of the night, John once again encountered grey aliens in his home. This time he grabbed the nearest weapon available, which just happened to be a samurai sword, and he took a swing at one of the greys. He claims he managed to kill it, but that its corpse quickly disappeared, leaving behind only a pool of blood and remnants of flesh on his sword. In total, John has claimed to have killed as many as 18 grey aliens. For any sane person, this would all seem a bit too crazy to believe, but John wanted to prove he wasn't a liar, and sent off the remnants of flesh on his sword to a scientist. That scientist was William Levengood, and John claims that he tested the flesh and found that it was very strange indeed. According to John, the data received from the study found a striking resemblance to data retrieved from cattle mutilation sites. Levengood also found the proteins were not like anything found on any creature on Earth, and contained fibres one would find in a cloth. According to John, Levengood also stated that the flesh was closer to plant life than human or animal. This flesh was supposedly the smoking gun improving extraterrestrial life. According to John, Levengood and his colleagues were convinced that John had found the smoking gun improving extraterrestrial life. However, John states that Levengood suddenly went quiet and stopped communicating with him. He never received an explanation why, and Levengood died in 2013. Is it possible Levengood was silenced before he could publish his groundbreaking results? John seems to think so, as he was visited by the notorious Men in Black around the same time that Levengood went quiet. Since then, the most notable incident occurred during a webcam interview with John, wherein which an alien seemed to appear in the background momentarily, unknown to John and the interviewer. For a few years, it's unknown what else happened on the ranch, as John grew tired of going public with his stories, as they neither benefited him nor did they scare off the aliens. John felt he had lost the battle. He also claims that the billionaire real estate developer Robert Bigelow spent some time on the ranch and even verified John's claims, but he didn't purchase the ranch like he did with a similar one known as Skinwalker. In 2017, John Edmonds finally decided to sell the ranch, and as of 2019, the listing is no longer available, suggesting that the property did indeed sell. It's unknown who the new residents are, and whether or not they have encountered anything similar to what John and his wife once did. I hope you enjoyed this video and will join me for part 2, where I analyse the story and determine whether or not it's legit. Thanks.